peace, and blessings. Haki Shakur Ami, Dr. Haki Shakur Ami, Honorable One Asafo, the Success Scholar. Thank you for tuning in, listening in. You can follow me on YouTube, Raising Consciousness and Capital, of course, and my Instagram, Success Scholar, as well as my Twitter, Success Scholar 1 or X, Success Scholar and the number 1. And you also can join me on my Facebook, Haki Ami, HAKIAMMI, and LinkedIn, of course, as well. So Success Scholar on LinkedIn or Haki Ami on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter. I'm sorry, no. What is that? I'm also on, the TikTok. I just started that, but I don't get on there much. But, I do put some clips on there just to plant some seeds. But, so definitely share, like, and subscribe, of course. So I wanted to really just kind of, just talk. I called in on a radio show today, and I felt the need that I need to, add on and elaborate, just because people were inquisitive in terms of what, I was saying. And so, let me do my banner. Okay. Yeah, so as you see, our men providing, producing, and elevating our youth and be more. And so, what has happened? So, I've been a part of different brotherhood groups and et cetera, and people with so-called education and really I've just been a little perplexed, for instance. So when they pretend like they doing stuff and pretend like they care about the youth, and and I just feel that somewhere along the line you gotta show and prove, meaning that you have to be tactful. You have to organize not just yourself but other men to real tangible solutions that are going to elevate the people to another level, the youth to another level, the black youth to another level, right? So what am I saying? So different organizations that I've been, affiliated with, and fortunately for me, I have some unique experiences, developmental and growth experiences that actually, that actually showed me. I'm sorry. Okay. That actually showed me that unfortunately many brothers don't know what they don't know. And so outside of this, me speaking in general, I'm not going to be specific. I'm sorry. I'm going to speak in general because I don't want to create any unnecessary tension. But unfortunately, many they know what they know, even many with these degrees, but they don't know what they don't know, right? So what am I saying? So people from Baltimore, or many of us from Baltimore, and I have lived a lot in Prince George's County, a little bit, and so I kind of was able to tap into different networks and know my way around. But from familiarity with different issues or different things that's going on in the world put people at a different level of consciousness, right? Meaning exposure and access to different things put many of us in a level of sophistication, right? Now, I've been, some of these different organizations in Baltimore, different, Baltimore, damn it, wrong one. Different Baltimore-based organizations, kind of been around them, at different times. And so two things. One, I believe that you have to develop leaders tactfully, and many of these leaders are going to have to think outside of their neighborhoods. They're going to have to be able to think outside of their east side, west side. They're going to have to think outside of Baltimore. They're going to have to think outside of the state of Maryland. They're going to have to think outside of the DMV. They're going to have to think outside of the East Coast. And they're going to have to think outside of the United States at a particular time, right? So doing that, and I feel I've been very tactful with articulating and encouraging and humble in revealing and making particular asks. But unfortunately, many of the men, and some have they're in charge of some of these youth organizations, and they haven't maximized their the opportunities that are presented. What do I mean? It's been, I'm a little seasoned. You see my grade? I'm a little seasoned, so I've been able to calculate the benefit of showing up at different spaces, right? And for years, many may not know, but I went to Dallas, Texas. I went to Houston, and some years I went to the Gaylord in National Harbor in Prince George's County for the Power Networking Conference. Now that's Dr. George C. Frazier Conference, right? Now you meet people there like Dr. Michael Roberts, Dr. Frazier, Dr. Randall Pickett. Oh man, Trevor and Shay and let's see, who else? Jason Fenwick. I mean, you meet Dr. David Anderson. I mean, there's some sister coaches as well who've been through there over the years, and of course Miss Peggy and the Sisters for Sisters Network, right? And so there was one time I was in a meeting with some group of black men, and I said, we need to do something and get at least one or two youth to go to this conference at the Gaylord, right? And these are like educated black men, and I explained, for instance, that if you get one registration, then a youth could come for free, right? Now, this is a conference that has been recognized by Forbes magazine a couple years ago as one of the top 5 conferences in business, motivational business conferences in the country, black or white, right? So I, thought that these, like intelligent brothers and power brothers, I mean, I didn't push that hard. I mean, but sometimes you just feel like, look, this is at the Gaylord. Like, we are right down the road. We can get one or two young black men present, for that. This is Dr. George C. Frazier, the Frazier Power Networking Conference. Like, you got Mike Roberts, you got Damon John came through once. I mean, so you get, all kind of, like prominent entrepreneurial-minded people. The number one networker, Dr. George Frazier, he, is always there. Who else? Just a few amazing brothers and sisters that come and participate. And so I couldn't get those brothers to budge, right? I couldn't get those brothers to budge on this, and I was just like, wow. So who do you go? Who do you go to? Like, who's the thinkers? Like, so to have access to a Michael Roberts, right? I mean, and this is not like something too far-fetched. It's not too, costly or cost prohibitive. So I'm just like, these are the most brilliant entrepreneur minds in the country, like for real, that show up, that are able to show up outside of their home state on a regular basis, meeting people. So I've been able to listen and gauge different things, right? For going for 5 to 6, I don't know how many times, 6 or 7 years, at least 6 years that I've been, and I feel that I've been able to listen to different people and get like key pointers, and so that people have learned. These people, some of them invest tens of thousands of dollars into themselves to learn how to maneuver and how to move forward, right? Different types of education, right? And so when these brothers didn't, budge, I just like, damn, like this is crazy. Like you can't even get one. This is like, and these some of them, these are money making brothers, and this is where I learned like how I needed to be a more affirmative, with what I know and how I assert myself out here, right? Because people, think that you're not sure, maybe, I don't know, but, it's like, so, but there's a delicate balance that I learned, between affirmative and just, being overburdened. So I thought that I could, just really have a little bit of passion, not compassion, but passion in sharing this opportunity. And that's not the only thing. So there's others. There's another where I asked in, like a text thread, I mentioned, and this is so-called educated, so-called intelligent brothers. But we in the Baltimore area, and even those in the DMV, but certainly in the Baltimore area, we are just a train ride away, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, it depends on where you are, train ride to DC, where we could go to the CBC, Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and Congressional Black Caucus Week. The foundation is the one that puts this together. So I thought, for instance, like, after some years, and it's really, like, I ain't gonna say pathetic, but it's really, I'll say strategically not tactful for a black man that have like some leadership or thinking role, or, global, not just global, but some kind of regional aspirations, because they're different. I know I get like that there are different lanes, like people have different types of education, different types of specialty, but they're, for instance, at the CBC, and I've gone for maybe close to 20 years or something, but hey Dewanda, how you doing? Good to hear you. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I asked this other different group of brothers, like, and that's not even like how the cost of what the Fraser that the Power Networking Conference is, the Congressional Black Caucus. They have a broad range of topics, from criminal, civil rights, and, to entrepreneurship, to youth initiatives. They have the gamut of different types of educational forms, and different people show up there. And even if people don't show up, even if people aren't showing up, they, there's side events that other, very conscious, very community, very network people that actually go, right? So I'm just simply saying that, these black men in Baltimore, and I'm not going to say that they are, like worthless, like totally. I just think that there are limits to their potential and their growth, right? And then there's limits to what they aspire for the next generation, what they try to motivate the next generation to do. Like even if you aren't conscious enough or have the interest, even if you don't have the interest because you too conscious, you too aware, you too black, and let me tell you, there have been some black people, some so-called activists in the Baltimore area. Yeah, I mean, people do like kind of party at the CBC or whatever. I mean, but like you don't have to go there for that. Like one time, man, a brother he's deceased, rest in peace, the brother Devin. You don't have to go there to jam and get women, but I've heard that from some of these so-called African centered brothers. But I met like global Africans that don't have nowhere else to go. Like that's all they know. Like you're not building anything where dozens or hundreds of people can come to network. Like, so why would you hold the next generation hostage to your small-minded ideology? Matter of fact, one of the workshops was talking about business, and I learned something about he gave an example. He said something about the t-shirts. I don't know if you're talking about Kanye West t-shirts or something, but sometimes these same manufactured t-shirts that are being made, I guess, in China, some people are charging $100, $200 for, they at Walmart. So I'm simply saying that you have to be more global. You have to, show up when an opportunity presents itself. And I'm not one trying to get people to fly all the way, to Dallas or Houston like I did. But I'm simply saying that, some of these black men, they can't think beyond themselves, right? And, I'm just calling them out. And their organizations, and they in front of black men. And some of these, black women that, support them, they just don't have no intellectual, well-rounded depth, of understanding. So they sending their young people to these black men groups because these black men are honestly like all we have, like for real. But I'm just saying they still think too damn small. Some of these black men in Baltimore. So I'm just saying, like, I mean, it just made me, when somebody invited me somewhere, like rather recently, and I'll just give you this example. So I'm on the board of like what's called the Maryland Black Caucus Foundation, right? So some years ago, under, for instance, Chairman Darrell Barnes, we, starting in June or July, for 6 months before the legislative session, we met like for maybe 10 to 4, something like that, for like 6 hours with different work groups. 6 months, 1 hour, 4 or 5 hours. 5 or 6 hours, I think, yeah. And came up with different working papers and different strategies. So that's what Maryland did. I was a part of that. And I'm not saying that, you're going to retain every single fact, but knowing who the people are, knowing who the players are, like knowing who, this is the Maryland has some of the most intelligent black people like anywhere. Like the most, we had the largest black caucus. I'm not saying that mean they're the most intelligent or whatever, but when you have different areas that come together, we had like 6 different work groups. So thank you, sister. Yeah, no, it's definitely, I just have to call it out now let me finish. So I recently got invited, for instance, somewhere. Somebody invited me to something coming up this weekend by, some of the same type of groups, same people. And I just thought about how, for instance, how I, like some years ago at the CBC, with the Maryland Black Caucus, Foundation, we had like a Maryland Day, actually on Maryland Avenue in D.C., where Governor Westmore and many of this was like the first time that Governor Westmore was actually present. I mean, or as the new governor, right? And I gave a ticket. These tickets. Let me tell you, the VIP. I mean, they were free. It was a free event actually, but we gave VIP. We had special VIP tickets, and we had to minimize or kind of condense how many VIP tickets. So I got two VIP tickets. I gave one to Mel Foote, International. What's this group? CFA, Center for Africa. Constitution for Africa. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting Brother Melvin Foote's organization. And I gave another VIP ticket to, another brother, right? This brother didn't call, didn't show, and now he invited me to something that I'm just like, man. So, but Mel Foote was very grateful. See, he is like the premier Pan-African, like in DC, like recognized, reputable, respectable. Not these internet. He don't do much online stuff. He's meeting with diplomats and the different ambassadors of the African Union, of different countries in Africa. Like, he is the man. Like, bar none. These people dressing up, playing drums, some of these youth programs or whatever. Like, I mean, to be in a room with someone like him, right? So some people don't appreciate things. You can't invite everybody to everything, and that's what I learned. And some people just, their consciousness hasn't matched their age, right, or their degrees, right, their tactics. We are under attack, and if you cannot show up with your own people, right, to build alliances, to know who, to be resourceful, to know the different types of resources that are out here. Whether, you hate the government or love the government or whatever, like, you're going to have to work with people who are in these positions. And some people, they haven't read more books than me, but they think they're blacker, they think they know something. Like, I assume somehow you think you being extra black because you don't affiliate with, I don't do no politics, brother. Well, you ain't going to Africa either. You ain't taking young people to Africa. Like, for real. So, and that's where I just have to believe that sometimes people are just haters. There are some Baltimore haters that have been hating on me for quite some time. And, I'm through with it, and I'm not tolerating any of it at all anymore. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm just going to be successful in many different aspects of life. I'm so smart. I'm so focused. I'm so determined that I'm not going to be needing anybody for anything. Like, I built my own power, and fortunately, I'm not going to jail. I ain't doing nothing crazy. I have a decent record. I'm not fooling with, people that's bringing little stupid stuff, because they jealous. They can't show up, too lazy to show up for anything, and they want to show up and do little awards things for each other and pat each other on the back. And some of them, and it's only, I don't want to sound like I'm hating them for not, somebody said, why you think you should, about an award or something. Look, I've gotten one from Dr. Eric Connor, I've gotten a humanitarian award, and I got the award in front of the Maryland Black Caucus, in front of 470 paid black prominent Marylanders. And so I'm not like feeling that you know, that somehow I'm neglected. But some people just, they want to tap each other on the backs, because, I will raise their bar. I will intellectually raise their bar. And they know, they can see that they have, not grown. They have not grown appropriately. And here's the thing, you don't have, if you can't grow, don't hold the next generation. Like, it's some sharper young people out here than myself. I'm just passing the baton. Like, I'm from Baltimore. Like, I've had different types of struggle, but, I didn't stay in that mindset, right? And this is where, my training with Les Brown, comes in. And George Fraser. George Fraser, man, some people are so small. Like, when I brought him to Baltimore and DC, people, you paying for him to come? Like, look, you can think however you want, but sometimes the small conversations that you have with people, they could drop a jewel on you. Someone that's traveled like Dr. Frazier, they could drop a jewel that's worth $10,000 if you have a business mindset, if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, if you have a wealth building mindset, or if you just have a get up and go mindset. If you're able to put two sentences together, right? If you're able to listen and show up at the right places, people will begin to, respect who you are and what you're doing. But some of these people, you never see them. But they want to be the leader of black men. They want to be the, lead organization, or they want to be in charge of the youth. They want to, have youth in front of them. So I'm like, no, so I'm saying, be harmonious, invite the real readers and real thinkers and real workers to the table. And don't be giving me no half invites. Don't be giving up no coin. Come through, brother. So I can sit down and you can minimize my growth and just say, oh yeah, he just show up anyway. He got time. No, I got books to read. Let's see, what am I reading here? Oh, let's see. I just did it. Oh, and check out I'm in this National Black Unity newspaper, page 16, dope article. Well, let's see. I got this Africa 101. This Dr. Connor's book. And I got this one from Annapolis, and this is really educational. Let me do a little quick. This is called "Stuck: How the Privilege and Property Broke the Engine of American Opportunity." Now, let me just say something about this, because it's very well. I only got through the beginning, but economic mobility. Let me just kind of. Yes, in a riveting story of mobility from the Puritans to the present, Stuck reinterprets American history and offers a key to imagining a vibrant, more egalitarian future. Okay. Yeah, so this talks about how we don't move in society anymore. People are stuck in where we live economically and either consciously, and so this is what's happening. And and if this is a white person, I assume. Let me see, Yoni Applebaum. Oh, this is a gentleman, the deputy executive. Oh, he's the editor of the Atlantic, and so before joining the Atlantic, he was a lecturer of history and literature at Harvard. I got this book at day one in Annapolis. Opening day, the first day of the session. They were giving these out. I was so grateful, but see, we need thinkers. We need true thinkers, and I know I don't always get to speak everywhere, and I'm quite fine with that. But I appreciate the brilliant people who, do take some time to listen, because you're gonna get some jewels. You will get some jewels, and so, but anyway, I ain't gonna be. I said 30 minutes. I said I was gonna do 30 minutes of kind of adding on. So hopefully you all are well. I'm excited. I had a good weekend. I was at the Frederick Douglass 208th birthday celebration with the family, descendants of Frederick Douglass and the descendants of Harriet Tubman. Had a great time. Appreciate everyone that showed up. We had a great time in Eastern Shore, Maryland. I then went to eat to Philadelphia yesterday. Had a great experience. I did a paint and sip tea, paint and sip. Yeah, so so I don't, so I had a great paint job. So that was my first time doing that. That was funny. A psychologist, one of my psychologist associates, and invited me. So that was a good experience. And tonight only, I'm going to see Trevor Noah in DC at the Warner Theater. So I was inspired to do that by when I saw his interview with Bernie Sanders. So, I was like, and he's coming to town. I was like, first I want to see him in Baltimore, but I missed that. And so I'm looking forward to that. So, but that's all, y'all. Just show up, be ready, show up, or help the next generation. That's all I ask. If I had somebody to take me or encourage me, or at least let people have the option to want to go to be around some winners, some champions, some thinkers, some wealth builders, some business, political conscious people, some readers, right? So, all right, that's all I have, y'all. Peace and blessings. Thank you for joining in. Haki Ami, the Success Scholar. Definitely follow my pages, and I will be back soon. So looking forward. Peace and blessings. Thank you, Dewana. Thank you, Dewana Farmer. I love my good brother and sister. Peace and blessings. Dr. Dewana Farmer. Let me give you a proper title, because Queen. Peace and blessings. Oh, shoot.